Welcome, everybody. I can start to read a little bit while we're waiting for some more folks to get here, and I'll keep looking back up to let people in. It's kind of a lazy, not lazy, but just very cozy day here. It's been rainy and lovely for the plants. So I brought 3 poems today, and I'm going to read one before and just one after everyone else is done. But you guys get to choose the second one at the end because they're a bit longer and I don't want to be so long at the beginning. So this is one that is very relevant to the current infrastructure plan, but also to me every day as I go down up and down Dickerson Pike to pick Rob up, my husband, up from work. So I see all the details and all the foreclosures and all the things. And so this comes from that journey. And I'm going to get this over here so I can see if anyone comes. So I can. All right. Progress for some. Pearl sticker on Spring Street and Dickerson Pike. A man hunched over his car needing a new tire. Maybe that tire wipes him out financially. Maybe he feels that ache in the heart, weary of history repeating, shot after shot, knee on his neck. Not literally, but he screams inside, can't breathe in this so-called society. The bus stop across from Walmart, Berry Hill, is life-threatening. You have to cross 4 speeding lanes to get across the street to the bus stop. A green strip of grass, no sidewalk, just a bus stop sign and a very steep hill. The homeless beg at stoplights. It's all they've got, distraught. I can give them love and namaste. They nod and give one back. I remember them and they remember me. Even on gray days, flags wave like tin soldiers for the USA and Tennessee at car lots along Dickerson Pike. Driving along, it feels and breathes as though I'm living in a small town with all the elements, multiple trailer parks, land suddenly for sale, remnants of an old restaurant, produce stands, and pickets, fireworks stand behind the big house, now covered in graffiti, next to the dive motel.
Anyway.
The road is pockmarked and waits for a new Job Corps infrastructure plan. Everyone and everything seems to be waiting for something else, for the bus, the change that is bound to come. We hope, progress. Where will the tornadoes take us waiting in trailer parks? Wild roses and delightful names for streets are misnomers, pointing to now ancient ideology, the home. We are home waiting for that squeaky wheel to kick in. Meanwhile, look out for people walking alongside the roads without sidewalks. Ambulances and fire trucks mean you stop and let them squeal past. All the elements are here, the makings and magic of progress. Otherwise, the Wild West will envelop Dickerson Pike. One day it might look like progress for some. If not for the people here now, where do they go? All along the road, so many stories untold. Welcome, everyone. So many good folks came in while I was reading, so that's awesome. Welcome, everyone. I did
Hey, that was great, Amy. That was great. It enlarged considerably from when I last saw that poem. Yeah,
it has. I've been collecting pieces of it on the phone, usually in traffic. Thank you. And now I did I put everyone, let me put it in there again. I'm in the chat. I'm putting in our order for reading tonight, performing tonight. Okay, now it is time for the featured poet, and I want to introduce Jamie Collins. I'm going to read his lovely bio. His first poem was published when he was 16. He had several more published in Florida publications by 21. Life took over since. Being a minor league rock star was a lot of fun. He was in bands that opened for the Allman Brothers and Sly and the Family Stone. He spent 6 years as an artist in residence for Tampa and St. Petersburg schools, teaching poetry writing. He was a cultural arts specialist for the city of Largo, Florida, doing creative writing classes and writing plays for kids and adults. He did a few originals and a few adaptations. The Phantom Toll Booth, The Little Prince, and The Wizard of Oz were the adaptations. He was a member of the Dramatists Guild for a while. Then he had a radio play on St. Francis of Assisi, aired in Florida. And he ran a performing arts academy for 3 years. He wrote screenplays. He had a few near-miss stories in Los Angeles, directed a lot of theater in various states, won a Best Director of a Drama while in California doing theater. Have 3 poetry books listed on Amazon and Lulu under his official name, James Collins. And those are Poems from the Wild River of Life, My Piece of Sky, and Spirit of a Man. He had 2 songs on hold in Nashville, 2005, 2006. He did a Native American flute and a poetry CD. He wrote scripts for 3 48-hour film contests, was a head copywriter for a national ad agency doing national TV and radio commercials for 3 years. Impressive, it's so impressive. And I know if you read his poem, you also are delighted to have him today. So if you'll welcome all. One thing before we start, if we stay muted while we're performing, and then if after the performance, if you'll unmute and delight us and celebrate us with your ahas and woos and everything. So, okay. And now, Jamie Collins.
Well, okay. Thank you. Greetings, everybody. I'm not sure if any of you went to the Scarrett Bennett Poets Corner website. I was featured there a couple of days ago. And if you did, you'll be happy to know I am not doing any of those poems. Okay, a couple of short ones. The first one is called Discovery. Realizing a throne only has room for one, I gave up, grasping for power. I chased after greatness and followed that burn until discovering fame is a lonely place. Overcoming the curse of an average voice, I sang, expressing my heart. I inhaled stars, but found my attempt at magnificence left me alone in front of a crowd. That's when I discovered and decided to let others get close. This other short one is called, I've done a lot of men's work or, a lot of psychological work dealing with stuff. And this one's called Pulling on the Leash, another short poem. Here I am in this tense moment where I vow to find myself ready to stop doing gut work. No mere talk, no Jungian chat with my shadow. No need to lie, no need to defend an archetype or promote any wisdom. The new question I ask in my life is, do I feel like a dog staked in a yard pulling on a leash? Or does this help me run free and wild in the woods?
Yeah.
Well, I love the silent applause. It's very zen. It's very zen. Love it. Okay. So, like I said, I lived in New Mexico. Well, I didn't say that, but I lived in New Mexico for a while, and had a dark night of the soul there. But got totally enchanted by New Mexico. And this is called my Roadside Service. I've taken many empty trails between heaven and earth in this church of life, needing to erupt in holy vows or angry curses. My cracked, bleeding heart couldn't wait for Sunday. With no reverence for priest or clip-on tie preachers who offer wafer-thin space for coins of codependence, I pulled off a 2-lane road in northern New Mexico. A dry wind whispered past withered fence posts. My boots kicked up a dusty white sage. I knelt in this incense with a thirsty soul. Stray, rabid heartaches nipped at my heels. Where untamed dreams once roamed wild, lazy, enchanted tumbleweeds drifted. My loose, mangled prayers wailed into a rusty, barbed wire confessional and crossed high desert junipers on their way to a cloud-piercing mountain. With a shaman's rattle, my grief song pushed them up to that granite altar. During my roadside service, ancient hymns from a power line choir of doves inspired me to raise my beseeching arms like a trance-induced Aztec priest. Touching the sky's blue skin with empty hands, I formed a sacred chalice of awe and chanted my mea culpas in the hope Spirit listens. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Silent applause. Zen. I love it. I'm in a Zen monastery and I don't even know it. Okay, this is called Lost Voices. Oh, Henry showed up. That's cool. Lost Voices. By weaving webs of silky voices, languages speak the many names of itself and holds humans to a place in time. Bonding with a tender, sticky glue, voices seduce every new birth with babbling incantations of a cooing song. Even the hearts of ghosts remain stirred by far-off voices and long for rebirth in this constantly fragile home, just to add their harmony to life's endless melody. We spin whispered dreams into tightropes to walk across time on. At every deep grave between life and death, survivors praise lost voices with sacred sighs in eulogies, tears, and spoken word charms. Every human star shines in our crowded urban constellations we call cities in joy or dread. But lacing ancient braids into life's weave, souls tell tales about how Navajo code talkers helped end a world war. In all dialects, voices chant a simple love song. When any old native tongue becomes extinct, it's worse than a library burning down. A hole opens in life. A hole opens in life's web where the soul of a people disappears. Okay, well, let's see. Oh, here's something. Here's something a little personal. I didn't. Sure. Okay. This is called A Breeze of Regret. And I think the poem is self-explanatory. So I'm just going to jump into it. On the day my visiting son drove back to Florida, he asked why I eat pink grapefruit most mornings. I cut into that bitter rind of his sunny summer question for weeks, sectioning and pulling out seeds. One easy metaphor, the sweet and sour mix in life. But that only gave half an answer. One sunrise, the squirting juice released an old memory. I remembered waking up as a hungry 10-year-old. Since mom never cared for grapefruit, I asked my dad to prepare the other half of his for me. His little lecture on growing up and taking care of yourself slipped past my resistance, didn't trigger my deaf ear or any rebellion. Now, some 30 years later, after giving his eulogy in my black suit of grief, I'm in his house helping mom cope and rummaging for a spoon for mom's coffee in the silverware drawer. I found and took dad's specially designed Florida grapefruit paring knife. Apparently, pink grapefruit became a symbol of a child to man initiation and a rite of passage packed into one image. That long ago mini lecture on taking care of myself planted a seed that grew into a tree. Now, in the shadow of that tree, sweet and sour tears flowed with gratitude as I stand in and claim my part of this sun. Then I swayed in a breeze of regret for not being able to say to him, thanks, Dad. Oh, yes. I'm in Zen heaven here. Okay. This one's a little crazier. This is called Moon Touched. And this basically came about as I walked into a friend's house and saw a moon in his window. A pale crescent moon portrait hangs in my window, scraping against clear glass edges. Rushing to this masterpiece, I beg this divine darling for a deeper kiss, but settle for a long sip of silvery liqueur poured like liquid light into my midnight chalice. This pearl of a sun mirror pulls on my sins of longing. To gaze at this cosmic ambiance mixes my soul with animal spirits into moon flesh. Under this night sun, I eclipse and shed shadows as easily as a whispered breath changes worlds. Moonlight becomes a skin that allows my body to touch spirit. Standing closer to heaven, I feel holy enough to read the sacred graffiti written on the walls of my heart. Now, I mingle with mischief. My prayer asks gravity to take a vacation. If Luna stays full for 30 days, will the whole world fall in love or simply go mad. How we doing, Amy? Okay. All right. I have a thing with religion. I was almost got really close to being a priest, bailed out, couldn't handle it. And so this is called the true religion. Under God's Sistine Chapel ceiling, a ball of light crosses the blue, wading through crowds of white ghosts to die daily, and leaves twinkling stars in a black wine. Prehistoric life often exposed the sad crackle of danger left by a dying ice age fire. In quick eye openings at nearby growling, the true religion was born in this church, where questions fueled every search for meaning. No animal ever invented a god or a need for a spiritual life, yet our true religion evolved. When a thundering voice bellowed from a storm with a power far greater than any human, the warm need for spirit formed. On the day a small human dropped out of his swollen female, the sacred vortex of life's miracle emerged clearer. Man rose to defend his female, his family, and his future. Death became one of life's magical sacraments, when that yearning for the one who laid down as their essence left and no longer walked beside them. Our first ritual rose to leave flowers, a bear skull, or a special offering at a burial. Each survivor connected to the face of this mystery and carried memories beyond the walls of time that all pointed to our first true religion, mystery. Well, I lost track of time. Where are we?
You could do one more if you wanted to.
One more. Okay. Well, we talked about language. I talked about language. So I'm going to do this one. Well, this isn't, okay. Anyway, this is called Our Native Tongue. With no voice to speak or ears to hear, I learned the trembling diction of emotions in the womb awaiting deportation. Now, caught in a united web of illusions, in a foreign culture of duplicity, my soul struggles with the lingo of ego. Words convey static chatter, opinions masquerade as a feeble truth. Love, our native tongue, is seldom spoken. This world kills patient awakening voices and encourages only the slang of worldly bias. Few dare to inhale the mystical whispers found in that fragrant aroma of stillness. This far from spirit's home, any quiet acceptance perishes on the streets. Yet, whenever a solemn calm arrives, a touching trust tingles unnoticed by the multicolored crowd electric with hate. Love, our native tongue, is seldom spoken here. Now, if a soul baptizes this noise with tears, a liquid dialect to the language of love, I form a silent shield and protect that heart, because when love speaks, it's best not to clutter the tender moment with words.
If everybody would unmute. Oh my gosh.
That was
Wonderful
fabulous.
stuff.
Thank you,
Amy, that was
Jamie.
fabulous.
Thank you.
Lovely. Your lush stuff.
Fabulous.
It was magical and
Yeah.
wise and deep and spiritual and funny and mad, all the things.
The above.
Full of fantastic ideas and concepts that I will ponder.
I love it.
The grapefruit
a lot.
alone, right?
Yes.
Well, I do work real hard trying to find something new and interesting to write about.
Well, it reminded me a lot of the Spell of the Sensuous, like your consideration of language as a vehicle for meaning.
Thank you.
In your stories, you know, the way that you told that through your stories really sparkles.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Jamie.
Wonderful trees.
Can I ask one question?
Sure.
Jamie, what was your instrument when you were a musician?
Primarily, okay, so you have to understand that I am my least favorite subject, and I don't have a real powerful ego. So I was always the bass player in bands.
That's important.
I'm real happy being on stage as long as the spotlight is over there somewhere.
I just wanted to know.
Okay, and I do play Native American flute, which is I got a great story about that sometime.
Okay. Should play it one day. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Definitely come back and play that. That'd be lovely.
It's a good
I
time.
have a quick question.
Sure.
You mentioned that you lived in New Mexico. I did for many years, and I forget what you said. The dark. Could you repeat the phrase you used?
Oh yeah, I went to the dark night of the soul there.
Dark night of the soul. I understand.
Well, here's what you don't know. We're off point a little bit, but the point is it happened. I lived in Albuquerque and Taos, New Mexico, and in Taos, my life just blew up, and I'm like homeless, and my wife is being crazy, and it was a copper toxicity issue, and it's really complicated. But a Native American shaman approached me in Albertsons and said, "Come to the reservation, I'll explain everything." And he basically said there's a vortex on the Taos reservation that if you are not living your real life, it's called a dweller on the threshold. And if you're not living your real life, it'll chew you up and spit you out. And he goes, that's what's happening to you. So this is the rebirth. He named me White Wolf. That was my Native American name. And he goes, go live your real life. Whoa.
That's
Wonderful.
beautiful.
Wonderful New Mexico story. Yes.
Yes.
They abound.
So cool. I'm going to Albuquerque in June for the first time. I'm really excited.
Sandia Mountains are gorgeous. Go to the Sandia Mountains.
Sandia.
I used to live there, and I'm very connected with people there. And my son just started college in Santa Fe. So now I'm going to be going many times a year, which is really wonderful. Yeah.
Wow. It's on my bucket list.
What were you doing before he said, go live your real life?
Oh boy. Okay. The thing was my wife's pack mule. She had issues, and she was, bipolar, and, it was crazy eruptions, and I was just trying to hold the fort down. And all of a sudden I discovered she had 7 credit cards forged in my name. And it gets deeper, dude. It gets really deep.
Yeah.
And I was I was, I threw the I Ching one time and it said, your bed is broken, your house is about to collapse. And I just went, oh my God. So I just was trying to hold the fort down, trying to hold the family together, and it just blew up. So anyway, I want to hear some more, enough about me. I want to hear some more poetry.
Thanks for letting us get to know you, Jamie.
Definitely. That was beautiful. I'm glad the
And
shaman
if you
came
want to hear
to you.
Native American flute, there's 2 minutes of it at the Scarrett Bennett. I opened the Scarrett Bennett Poets Corner with 2 minutes of Native American flute.
Oh,
Right,
how
I missed that.
beautiful.
It's
Yeah.
on their website.
Mhm.
Missed that one. Yeah,
Check it out.
Sounds good. Do you have links for your books, or do we just look up James Collins?
You could go to Amazon or Lulu and just type in the titles: Wisdom, Poems from the Wild River of Life, My Piece of Sky, and The Spirit of a Man.
We will.
On Lulu or Amazon or Barnes and Noble, I think. I've kind of lost track. Or just message me. I've got a few of them here, They're easy, they're cheap. They're great though. Oh, okay, never mind.
There's nothing wrong with self-promotion as long as it's in balance, right? Well, first up for our signed up poets that we have Dre Zara.
Hello everybody, my name is Dre Zara and I have got 2 poems for you. The first one is titled Scythe Night. This is a poem literally about how people do not get the recognition they deserve. Night in decaying armor, betrayed by laughter, heroic acts stamped invalid, good deeds trod on like it's nothing, always picking up the pieces, always picking up the slack, picking up the ones who have fallen, picking up the ones who are on edge, picking up everyone. This bestiary deluge is stamped by an expiry date. Old suds washed into the street, chained to my fate, almost laughable with this disgrace. This blunt scythe has ground me down. Thank you very much. And now for the last poem of my set. It is titled Root of the Nile. It goes like this. This torrential river crashes into iron dams, grinding me down. People slander and cast aspersions with weaponry words, bruising and assault. Because it's never my fault. This stream flows, pebbles developing into sharp stones, stagnating the waves. It is never my fault. Cyclonic tyrannical storms, these veins in this monsooning rain of agony. Upon these deadlocked grains, these repugnant stains, crushing my world, I ask myself why. It is never, ever my fault. The drip of your spewing distaste, the stab of your malingering disgrace, over and over and over and over again, from beginning to end, you believe that it is all my fault. Sickening, disgusting, your revolt is repulsive. Your sick perturbs my feet, sinking in your rust. There is no trust from the stale tribulation, where there are no mitigations, no coins spent listening to my voice. You laugh as my downfall and continue your bastard celebrations. It is never, never, ever my fault. Yet the whole world sighs itself away. My knees fall, shooting pain through gritted teeth. Nobody wants to play. Barking at me to go away, a chewed toy. This island population of one, sinking fast within this burning ocean sun. My skin cracks without a hand to hold. My warmth freezes without a hug to cool. I am sorry for everything I've done. It is all my fault. Thank you very much, everybody. My name is Dre Zera, and I shall zero later. Goodbye.
Thank you so much. It was so moving and real and deep. Thank you.
And also entertaining in its way.
Yes, I love your costume, the light and the dark.
Intensity of the feelings there too.
Mm-hmm. Next up, we have Brian Ira Franco. I don't believe I've let him in. He may be coming later. Let's see. Next up, Gary Huskisson. Is Gary here? No, okay. Leslie Constable, you're here. You're here. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, so how many to read or
like 5 minutes? Is that okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that's fine. I'm going to start with this one that I just wrote. And sometimes it's always, I'm sure you all know this, it's a surprise when you write something, go, oh, well, it was supposed to go another way and it went that way. And so that's what's one of those. This one's called If There Is No Certainty. If there is no certainty, you are free to be a balloon, if that's what you would want. If you are a balloon, then you are free to fly or to drift however or wherever the air will take you, and move if it takes you, or in the presence of no air, you would be still. If there is no certainty, perhaps that means you can do whatever you want or nothing at all, if that is part of what you want. If that is part of what you want, you don't even have to decide. You can just be or do nothing, or you can choose, or you don't have to choose. You don't have to plan anything at all. If there's no certainty, does it mean you can choose? If there's no certainty, then I will create the certainty, the one I choose. I will climb up into the air on a ladder that I create in my mind, whether there or not. I care not, and I will stay there or not. And while there, then there, I could use my mind as a parachute and come back down to earth. If I choose or not to head for the sea, I could swim out so far and long as I possibly can and become one with the sea or ocean, and then decide to not be that, to be one with the ocean just yet, and swim back and touch my feet on the shore and just walk as a not yet mermaid, but resume being part of those with feet and not fins and tails, not yet. I could climb a tree, and be part of the tree and decide while they're high up in the branches to simply take flight and finally and forever morph into the bird I am inside and always threaten to turn into, no non-flying being as I am in current form, and fly. I could fly down to the river, any of those which in my life have flowed near to me, next to me often when walking beside the beloved mother moving all of us. And then growing webs for feet, I could swim in the river, submerging myself to be part of, at one with river, or on top of river, gliding with it. I could glide on top, dipping into it just so with the web feet I now have, dipping into water now cozying up to my form and holding it thusly. Glide on the river as a swan, a duck, all that sits upon the water, but at any moment could fly up to be aloft looking down upon it. I could do that, be a swan on the river, or anything I wish if there is no certainty. With no certainty, then, there is no time to count. If there is no certainty, there is no work to do. If there is no certainty, what would we eat? Would we need to eat? Is it for us? Is it up to us to decide? Do we decide if there is certainty or no certainty or a mix or nothing of the sort? If certainty is simply a construct just a mental construct like the floaters in the eye, telling you something is there, obstructing your sight when it is just a little something or not, which floats by like time, and in the blink of the eye gone, and we do not need to mind it at all. It simply is or is not, and if it simply is, perhaps it is only for the moment, and we either pay attention to it or we do not. So that's the first one. So let's see, where will I go from here? Maybe I'll go with dissonance. I just finished this one too. Maybe I'll just read two. I made friends with dissonance years ago. Right now we are not speaking. When does it get past the managing part of your life that you get to live it? Don't answer the question. It's pointless. We are not in charge. Where our humanity lies is what we do, if by decision or impulse, when we are powerless. Also, it is so the same if and when we are powerful. The middle path is that which is said to be the wisest, but we, pulled and tugged by that which only and ever rolls unrelentingly on through us, by us, around us, the locomotive of life, do not, when rolling so, know that this is so, or often that we have a choice. And with this, do we roll with it, swept away by the momentum, the force of existence at its fast clip, or do we stop, pause, consider, and decide to not be part of the tide, but that which is firmly rooted, perhaps is the tree grounded deep enough to not be swept away by the waters coursing so around us? Does it matter? And what if we are swept away and travel the course of the river downstream, swept away, taken far to then be there at the point where, when the river is only the thin tributary, the waters calmer, we come to shore and on firm ground, now on foot, walking on firm ground, find our way to some home, some idea of home, our home, imaginary home, the home of those who came before us, or simply home, the heart home, the deep desire for this, the this outside of thought, outside of the consideration, thought, simply of balance, no choice to be made, but simply the that is, the deep desire for this, our home, all of us, the home embedded in hearts. So that's all for me tonight. Thank you.
You are definitely a philosopher.
I would agree. So beautiful, flowing and wise. Just get wrapped. I'm just wrapped up in your words, just listening to the flow. It's so pretty.
Thank you. Thanks.
The way your mind works.
Yeah, I'm totally a stream of consciousness type of girl. What can I say?
It's beautiful. It's very beautiful. It makes total sense too. Next, we have Christina Hogg. Are you here? No? Okay. Next, we have Vron. Vron is here. Yay. Welcome. You can't hear you. Can't hear you.
How about that?
Better.
Better.
Got it.
How long was the slot?
5 minutes.
5. Okay. Oh, I should be able to fit these 3 in then. That's good. Okay. The first one is called Goodbye to Martyrdeuce Cave, and it's set in Cornwall. The air tastes of salt. Gulls wheel and shriek. We approach along the smooth, wet, sandy beach, coats zipped up. A sharp breeze riffles hair, smells of fish, seaweed, decay. Grey clouds, white flecked waves breaking, sucking, breaking. We climb